What is going on, Philly sports fans? Welcome into the Philly Friday Frenzy here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network. I'm Big Al. As you can tell, I had this moniker up from a couple weeks ago. I had I scratched out the frenzy and I went with freak out because, guys, today I have a lot to get off my chest. And I've been hearing a lot, and usually I would say I like to be like I'm the more pragmatic one. I'm the more try to see it from both sides, cut it down the middle, optimistic, even called a homer. I know, wonder by who at times, but I'm not happy. I am not happy at all about the Jeff Stoutland situation at all. I think I have defended Nick Sirianni because the results have been there. I have defended the Eagles at times about, hey, give Kevin Patullo a chance. You never know. He might be what they need, or maybe he'll be what Jalen's used to, or whatever it is. And the Eagles organization, what they are thinking. I'm taking shots at them all tonight on the Jeff Stoutland situation because I think it was handled incorrectly. And I've been hearing a lot about you asked for this, you got it mentality from the fans, from podcasters, writers, media, whatever group you want to lump it into. But what I am just not understanding is I didn't ask for this. We asked for competent play calling. And I've even said it's not Nick Sirianni's strong suit. He's stronger in much other areas. At least I thought so. And where he lacks is in play calling. He's not an offensive play calling coach. He just isn't. Not all coaches are, and that's okay. And you can't. We've agreed that Kevin Patullo was a failure. That was his boy, given his chance. But it blew up in our face, and it's cost us a lot more than we know. Okay, and again, I know that only in Philly people know who the offensive line coach is, and Jeff Stoutland can be replacing. He can be. I'm not saying he can't be, and I'm not saying like the time maybe hasn't come to move on, but I don't believe it was. Everybody's like, oh, he had a down year. They had little depth and many injuries. Like, how do you blame any coach? I mean, any quarterback doesn't have a good year because his wide receivers keep dropping the ball, or there's their O-line's not blocking, or they were injured throughout the whole year. That's okay. Jeff Stoutland had a super successful tenure here as a Philadelphia Eagles O-line coach, and might add the run game coordinator from 2018 and on. So it's not like this was just given to him and taken away from him. So during the major successes of Swift and Barkley and the other guy and Kenny Gainwell and those guys, it was under the tenure of Jeff Stoutland. And if we want to take the reports of what happened and then try to read between the lines of the conversation to be had about Jeff's retirement, and I'm going to bring that up because I want to go to my Twitter account because I want to read through some of these things. I'm going to read between the lines here. I honestly think that the Eagles did him dirty. I'm going to say did him dirty. The man didn't deserve it. And maybe Jeff said, you know what, it's my time. It's my time to move on. And he was a decision he came to. I mean, he's 64 years old. Or he's going to be 64, whatever it is. 63, 64. But how it went down, how it sounded and looked, like I said, as I read between the lines of what I saw is a problem. It's not what I like to see. Here, let's look at this. So Jeff Stoutland, as we know, the news dropped, and we heard about the big news from Adam Schefter. Big news are coming. A big story, and we're all talking. Was it a new stadium? Was it the Vic Fangio thing that became more and more seemingly likely? But apparently Vic Fangio's staying. But maybe, and Vic Fangio's a little older, about 4 or 5 years older than him, or will be about this point now. And but was there something that would Vic not want to look to leave if there wasn't more going on? He got what he wanted. He got a Super Bowl. He can go quietly and enjoy the rest of his life. I mean, 67 years old is all, he's older, and you need to think about what the rest of my life's important to me. And I understand Jeff Stoutland doing, or Vic Fangio looking at him, even Jeff Stoutland. But with that being said, I don't agree. I look at what Jeff Stoutland posts on Twitter. Let's break this down. A very short Twitter post, but I want to break it down because there's certain things I hear and I don't hear that makes me wonder if he didn't leave on the best of terms. So we'll start with it. Philadelphia. I have decided my time coaching with the Philadelphia Eagles has come to an end. Not that it's time for me to retire, time for me to go spend time with my family, time to me to move on or whatever. Just my time in Philadelphia has come to an end. Not willingly, not happily, not anything. When I arrived here in 2013, I did not know what I was signing up for. I quickly learned that what the city demands, but more importantly, what it gives back. So he's giving props to Philadelphia and the fans and all that. That's fine, typical in these type of posts. Past 13 years have been a privilege, the great privilege of my coaching career. I didn't just work here. I became one of you. So again, ingratiating himself to the fans, our community, and so he's woven into the fabric of Philadelphia and Philadelphia sports, which I don't think anybody would disagree with. Stout out. That's it. So what I'm not hearing is, I want to thank the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to, it was a pleasure working with Nick Sirianni and his staff. It was whatever. To me, it sounds like a man said, I'm going to take the high road, but at the same time, I'm not going to be fake on my way out the door, because that's what I'm hearing. And now I know they're saying that he's supposed to stick around. We will see, because if he gets a job offer and he wants to take it, he'll go. Now, he's still under kind of contract with the Eagles, so it would have to be a bump up in the right direction. But things are good. But my point is, it just seems like he was done dirty. And I'm supposed to sit here and swallow it because that's what I asked for. And it's not what I asked for. I did not ask for him to be gone. I did not ask for the O-line to change. And yes, and people keep trying to pull things out. Oh, in the Super Bowl year, it was health that made him better. They had no depth. It's not his job to get the depth. It's his job to make sure the depth is ready and ready to go. Now, if you want to say this year wasn't the greatest O-line year, I'll agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. But in the 2 Super Bowls the Eagles have had, Jeff Stoutland has been a consistent. Not Nick Sirianni, not Doug Peterson. Jeff Stoutland has been a consistent next to Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie. Right? Outside of that, there's been different people in different moments. 2 consistents, Howie Roseman and Jeff Stoutland. And even when this team wasn't that good, our O-line was always a stalwart part of the O-line. Was part of the Philadelphia Eagles. Joe Howe, my friend, how are you doing? It's good to hear from you. But with that being said, apparently I'm supposed to be okay with the way Jeff Stoutland was unceremoniously let go, or not even he let go. He walked away because he didn't feel wanted. He felt like, what's going on? You're making these crazy changes, which is fine. The changes are okay. I get the changes need to come. They definitely need to come. And I was okay with the changes. But we've changed from Chip Kelly. We've changed from Doug Peterson, and we've changed it to Nick Sirianni. We didn't, and things were different each time. And then even under Nick Sirianni, we had different offensive coordinators who made different play calls and all that kind of stuff. And it worked. Why all of a sudden with Sean Mannion, and this is not a great way to ingratiate yourself. If this is a Sean Mannion move, but I have a feeling it's a Nick Sirianni move. And like I said, I've defended Nick Sirianni at times because I'm saying this, whatever it is, it works. Whatever Nick Sirianni was doing, it was working. They're making the playoffs every year. You went to the Super Bowl twice in 5 years, and you won one in a matter of time. But and I'm not one of those that think that you're winning despite something. Like this head coach is just there and he's just lucky to be part of it, or this quarterback is lucky to have this team around him and he's okay, or this offense is okay, but the defense, it all has to fall into place for it to work. Okay, so I can't say Nick Sirianni isn't doing anything right, but I have to start to wonder what's going on. So here's my problem. It's bad enough that fine, you win the Super Bowl. You feel like you don't have to interview any offensive coordinators. You felt like moving your buddy up was a good idea, and it was a good chance to take in. Fine, whatever. We gave Kevin Patullo a chance, and you're bringing in the next up and coming young thing. He's 33 years old, and I'm excited to see what Sean Mannion can bring, and I'm okay with him bringing in his own guys. But he doesn't want to have to learn a whole new scheme to teach guys. But now we're hearing. And I'm not surprised. I'm the one who said it. I wouldn't be surprised if Lane Johnson retired this year just because the health and inability to do his job. That's something that could have happened under Jeff or not. And then now we're hearing Landon Dickerson. Is part of it this reason? I mean, I can't remember his name. Our left tackle just completely had a brain fart on him. He was crying. He was up, so he said I was emotional about the situation because the man was a mentor to people as well. But beside the fact, he was a consistent, constant, and if he is going because he wants to go, fine. He earned that right. There's nothing wrong with that. But nothing so far has showed me that that's it. And Joe, Hal, your question is, there's a good chance that I might open up the phone lines in the distance, because I want in a not too distant future at this point of the show, because I do want to get your guys, verbal takes on them. We're going to talk about other stuff. We'll talk about the Sixers a little bit. If you want to talk about the Phillies and Flyers, we're going to touch on that as well. And I really don't care about the Olympics. If you want to ask me a question, go right ahead. I've just never been into the Olympics. I'll watch the ice hockey. Outside of that, really don't care. Olympics never did anything for me, and I guess I'm just so invested in Philly sports and everything. I'm just like, I don't need another investment. Like, I don't need to do it again. But there's this snippet that I read from Brendan Lee Gouton at the Bleeding Green Nation, who I follow him for years. I've interviewed with him. I might even try to get him on the show one of these nights to discuss things with the Eagles, maybe closer to drafting or free agency. He's a great guy, and he is got his finger on the pulse and seems to be right more often and can see the forest through the trees or whatever else you want to say. But he put this snippet up that night. Things were less harmonious this past season. And I believe this was he put this up from a story from, what's his name? Is it McManus? Yeah, Tim McManus. This was a snippet from Tim McManus. Things were less harmonious this past season. Injuries to right tackle Lane Johnson and the front played a part in the ground game's regression. But there were other dynamics at play. With the offseason stagnant, head coach Nick Sirianni took on a more active role over the latter part of the season. He had a then offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, began incorporating different run designs in an effort to kickstart the operation. Stallion was not consulted about the changes to what he felt was an appropriate degree. A league source said to the point where he no longer desired the title of run game coordinator because he felt he no longer fit the job description. Again, I have sat here and I have defended Nick Sirianni and said, whatever it seems to be, it works. But you and your jackass friend who couldn't do the job because you just won a Super Bowl, you thought you can jump on the coattails and just do the job automatically. He can't do it. I've said it 100 times. He can't play call. It was the Eagles' fault for allowing him to bring somebody in who had no play calling background and didn't have anything to back him up. They learned from that. That's why Sean Mannion has Grizzard now, because there's somebody at least who's called plays in the NFL. But he has not done it. So him and his buddy couldn't get it done. So they go over Statlin's head and make Statlin feel like, what the hell, man? Like, talk to me. We want to make some changes. Fine. You're the HC. I get it. But you don't talk to me. I've earned that. 13 years, 2 Super Bowls. I've earned that. And you do him dirty, and now he's gone. So don't tell me I should be okay with this, because I guarantee Sean Mannion did not would like to have a guy like Jeff Stalin here. Don't tell me what somebody that's constant. That is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. Now, granted, I root for the Eagles. I root for the Eagles emblem on the midnight green, not just a guy in the jersey, not just a coach on the sideline. But as you know, I'm part and partial to the offensive line. I was an offensive lineman throughout my football career, short-lived, whatever it was. Always had I coach offensive line currently. I'm always going to be part and partial to it. Okay. But this is a failure, like just a trickle down failure after failure after failure. And it starts with Nick Sirianni. Well, maybe even starts higher with Howie and them for letting Nick do this. You know, are they like, Nick, what did you do? We got a guy who's been with us for 13 years, who's been through the ups and downs. I mean, 2020 sucked ass. He was there for that when they had a transition from Doug to Nick, or from Chip to Doug, and he was there. So don't tell me he hasn't dealt with BS. Now, granted, he's a lot older now. 12, 10, 12, 5, 10, 12 years can make a world of the difference of the BS you want to put up with. But there is definitely something wrong here that they have to. Fine, you want to clean house. You want to bring Mannion's people in. And I said this before. I think really that the Philadelphia Eagles are hedging their bets. They brought in Grizzard. They got 2 guys that they interviewed for the offensive coordinator. They brought in the one they really want, the young one that could be the next up-and-coming big thing, because that is the Nick Sirianni. Like, well, listen, it takes me a couple of years, and Nick Sirianni's out of here in a couple of years. We can move Sean right in. And maybe that's what it is, because it's a win-win. If Nick pulls what happened this season, I think he's gone. I think they're just done with him. And if Sean does good job, then they can easily feel free to move him up to head coach. And he's bringing in Grizzard, and they got Grizzard, and they brought in a lot of other guys. And he wants to bring his guys in. I get that. But I really don't think Sean Mannion said, I don't want Jeff Stalin. Now, maybe Jeff said, I would like to get my run game coordinator back and maybe be able to work with Sean. And Sean said, no. And that's a different story. Then maybe it's on Sean Mannion. And again, it would be on the Philadelphia Eagles for letting a guy who's never done this job before make a decision of that kind of caliber. And I don't think he would. I don't think he did. I can't see a guy making those massive decisions on a guy whose tenure has been above exceptional, just amazing. Okay, like, yeah, last season wasn't great. They still made the playoffs. They still had success, and a lot of times it was because Kevin Patullo wasn't calling the games in or plays in early enough, and the O-line couldn't diagnose the defense. But that's Jeff Stalin's fault, and it's okay. We got to move on. I'm okay for moving on for Jeff Stalin. I'm okay with that to a point. How it happened is not how I can. This shows a massive disconnect in the Philadelphia Eagles. A massive disconnect. Joe's saying the 30 for 30 special on ESPN right now is good. That's the Philly special, or the that's on. I'm going to watch it later. I wasn't planning on watching it right away. And listen, I love watching stuff about us, the Eagles and stuff like that. But I wonder, it's a little bit of a stroke job. I mean, it was one of the biggest plays of all time running the Super Bowl. And they know Philly loves to hear about themselves. So it's a giant stroke job. I mean, that Kelsey Amazon Prime special was a big hit because it was Jason Kelsey and then Travis and everything else in between. But I'm gonna watch it later. I'm gonna let it simmer first. But I'm so annoyed when I hear I'm supposed to be okay with it. I'm so annoyed that I'm supposed to understand that this is part of the game. Yes, I understand. Coaching trees change, especially guys been here for 13 years. His time could come before anybody else's. That's not the issue. How he's treated out the door, how he was felt like he was pushed out in the middle of the season. Now he's pushed out totally is beyond me. Now they just give him some, like, since he's under payroll, they give him some, title and pay him and let him run his course. And maybe Stoutland says, I'm just going to take this year and be done. Or maybe he's just done with football now because he don't want to be around for what's coming. And I'm not sitting there saying what's coming is going to be bad. This is what I want to make sure. I'm okay with the change. And I really want to see what Sean Mannion can do. Maybe he will be the next big thing. Maybe they will really change up some stuff. We'll see some things here in Philly from an offensive scheme point that we haven't seen before. But I can only imagine that he would love to have a guy with Jeff Stoutland's clout around. And if Jeff Stoutland wanted to leave, that was the only reason. Jeff Stoutland's just like, I'm going to retire. You guys coming in, let him take his time. I don't want to have to regroup and get things together again. It's just time for me to step down. I didn't read that in this. I didn't read that in his goodbye. I'm not reading that in this Tim McManus article about how things went down. And I'm just flabbergasted on how a guy with his clout, the stout clout, could be treated and thought like this was the right move to make. Again, I don't want to hear that this was the move that I got what I wanted because I wanted offensive change. Again, we've went through how many offensive coordinators, how many head coaches changes, and Jeff Stoutland has been here. So don't tell me this is part of it. Don't tell me Sean Mannion came and said, I can't work with Jeff Stoutland. Now, again, maybe Jeff Stoutland said, like, listen, this guy's going to have a whole new scheme. I don't have time to learn it or adjust to it or teach it or whatever it is. But I think he would have said that. I think we would have seen that. It's just, I feel like it's my time to move on. My Eagles tenure, things are changing, and it's probably best to let the young bloods come in and do their thing. But that's not what I read. I read a guy that felt disrespected out the door. Yes. Actually, I'm going to get ready to drop the link in just a moment, Mike. So, yes, I told Joe I'm going to do that right now because I want to get everybody's take on this. I'm going to talk about other stuff too. But really, I came in here hot. I'm angry. There's just times that things just don't add up to me. And I try to be, what's it called? Open-minded. I try to be pragmatic about things. And again, I knew Jeff Stoutland's got to leave at one point. It's not because he's not here. It's because how things went down, and it just shows a major disconnect. And I'm going to be blaming Nick Sirianni a lot. And again, even the people who defend Nick Sirianni, I have to imagine, like if I defended him, but I could tell you right now, if they said, well, we're doing a coaching change, we're getting rid of Nick Sirianni this year, I wouldn't be like upset about it. I might be a little bit of a head scratcher and be like, guys had success for most of the way, had a down year this year, down year the year before, but every time they have a down year, they turn it around and they come back and they go to the Super Bowl. So how's that a terrible thing? But that's why he's, and also I just don't think the Eagles could fire him right now, even if they had the best opportunity of getting a head coach in here, because it would just look really bad on the organization to fire a coach the year after they won a Super Bowl and at least made the playoffs again and give them somewhat of a chance to do it back to back. So I get why they have to do it because it just looks really bad. Now, if they have a bad year this year and it looks like a major disconnect and it looks like it's just falling apart at the seams, you got to blame the head coach, you got to move on, and then they can get away with it. I think that's literally what happened with the Nick Sirianni situation. So for those, I'm going to open the phone lines. And what I mean by the phone lines, I will actually be adding a phone line so people can physically call in from a phone. But right now I'm going to be dropping a stream a link into the stream on Facebook, YouTube, and I guess I'll go on Twitter too. I think it does. Um, if you click on the link, you come on the bottom. That's fine. I will take one at a time. Don't get upset if you don't come on first or whatever. I'll try to keep it limited as much as I can if there's a lot of people popping on. But if you don't want to use your camera, just turn the camera off and just do the audio. That is absolutely okay. But I take this very serious. So if I see it down, I drop you, just so you know. So I'm going to put the link up right now, and so I can get your guys' input. We can also talk about the 76ers trading away young Jared McCain, but picking up, or is it the right move? They're not give a young guy enough time. Is it a bit of a head scratcher? Flyers continue to flounder. This Olympic break might be the best thing that happens for them right now. But right now, I'm saying this. I stand with Stout, okay? Because right now, all the data is pointing in that he was kind of hosed. And I'm trying to be open-minded, but everything I see shows, and you know what? I reacted right away. And the next morning I wake up, I'm like, did I overreact? And I scrolled through things, and I'm like, I'm not seeing any reason not to feel like I didn't overreact. I did not see any reason to feel like that I'm wrong in my feelings about the way things went down. So I take that in consideration. And it's been long enough that I think that me being still annoyed and irate about it is acceptable. And then on top of it, all these people out there telling me, well, this is what you asked for when you wanted to get rid of Kevin Patullo. We went through more OCs and head coaches in how many years in this 13 years that he's been here, yet he's been here. I'm standing with Stout. And I feel the man was hosed. I'm telling you now, that's how I feel about it. We'll talk about, like I said, the Phillies too. I mean, we got some big moments coming up because catching up with spring training and all that stuff. We're going to talk about that. But first and foremost, I think I got Joe on the line here. So Joe, I'm going to bring you in. Joe Hal, what's going on, my friend?
I'm watching the 30 for 30.
Mm-hmm.
And something caught my eye. And I'll get to that later. I want to talk about the Sixers. I'm actually glad. And I came on Matty B, and Matty B bashed me yesterday, kind of.
That's what he does best.
I'm actually glad that the Sixers didn't put all their pieces in one.
Okay.
Because let the team build. Yes, you got under the luxury tax. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got a good team. And you signed Barlow on a 2-year deal. That was it just got reported. Why does everybody want Giannis to begin with?
I don't know. I honestly was not one of those people who wanted Giannis, to be honest with you, Joe. I just feel like it's the old song and dance. They get guys in here, they don't let them marinate long enough, or they trade away a bunch of assets, and you go star hunting. Now Giannis is younger. He's been there. He would have been a little bit better than, in my eyes, a James Harden or something like that, or Jimmy Butler, kind of person to bring in. But the Jared McCain thing is what made my head scratch a little bit more. Is he was young. He was one of the young rookies that I thought that to get him under the luxury tax, you could have done it with a few other people that could have been more expendable. Maybe you wouldn't have fetched a first round 2026 pick. So now you got two, which is they're building towards the future. So obviously that's what they're building for. And the team is not that bad right now the way constructed. I was okay with them staying pat for the most part. So this isn't a big problem. People were upset more about the Jared McCain thing than the Jeff Stoutland thing because all that news came down at the same time. And it really kind of scratched my head. I mean, we don't know what Jared McCain is. It's kind of like a baseball prospect. I mean, he looked pretty good at the beginning. Then he got injured last year. So then he missed a lot of last year. Then this year, same thing. Like he kind of went into a slump. But they are able to grab a 2026 first round pick, which is going to be like mid to top, first round.
So
you got 3 second round picks, which means nothing to me unless you get like 12 of them and package them up to get back in the first round.
That's what they're going to do. So the third round pick, the second round picks is back to back to back.
Well, I guess that makes it a little bit more interesting.
And they got 3 picks in the first round because they got their own. They got the Clippers pick, which is
That's
going
right. I didn't even count their own. You're right.
a top 5 pick, and the Houston is a pick swap. They got Houston's pick from their OKC deal. I'm okay with that.
And I'm okay. I think they learned a little bit, like the NFL, the NBA learned a little bit from OKC last year. I think they learned that youth can be really important. It doesn't have to be 3 superstars and the rest of role players around them, and it doesn't mean they're always going to work out. Giannis would only have worked here if they traded Embiid. I don't see how putting Giannis and Embiid on the same team would be ever beneficial.
And with the Sixers, and I was talking to an OKC fan, there's no room for McCain. Did you know that, right?
Well, they're the ones who gave up a first-round pick for him in 3. Maybe they're going to move on. They're moving on for somebody else at the end of the season. Maybe they see him. He's more of a later decision than a right now decision.
Yes.
Maybe in the offseason they trade some guys away or some guys are out of their contract. Yeah. I can't sit here and tell you I know enough about OKC to be, feeling like I comfortable with that decision. That's OKC's problem.
You're right.
It's if you're trying to go with this youth movement, they just didn't believe in Jared McCain enough that fetching a first round, giving you 3 first round picks and 3 second round picks, that makes the difference. Maybe, I don't know. But it's a bit of a head scratcher. I figure if you're in a salary dump to get yourself under the luxury tax, you could have probably done it with somebody else. Now, you wouldn't have fetched as much a first round pick. Don't get me wrong.
And then I wish the Flyers would learn from the Sixers to get younger.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody has made the comment that the Flyers have not fully tanked. And they are getting younger, but they should have moved on from some other guys on top of getting younger. What they've done so far has been okay, not a huge hit. Now the Michkov thing, I think Michkov's thing's mental. Just to be honest with you, I think he came from Russia. He the whole new culture, a whole new thing. I think this is the mental aspect of the young part of the game that can be fixed. Anything last, Joe, before we move on? Because I got another caller on the line here. I'm going to move on to
Kaepernick go. Kaepernick's awesome.
All right, we'll let Pap go. Joe, it's always a pleasure, man. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yep.
All right, so that's right. So Joe's off. That means Mikey P's on. Mike Papernick, what's going on, my friend?
Yo, what's going on, Al? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because sometimes my internet sucks in my house. This Stoutland thing, man. I don't know. And the last man standing is Sirianni. That is horrible.
Yeah, Mike. Me and you've gone back and forth. I've gone back and forth with Matty B about Nick Sirianni. And the only thing about the Nick Sirianni thing that I could defend, it's the only defensible thing I had about him was whatever he did outside of play calling, whatever he did seemed to work. It just worked. It's like, hey, can you explain to me the internal combustion of my car and all the science behind how it works? And maybe I'll understand it, maybe I won't. But all I care is I turn the key and there's gas and it moves. Like that's all I care about. So the Eagles are winning. I really didn't care. It's like one of those things. I always said he's like a knuckleball thrower. It's not pretty, but it was effective. But this thing, and as I read deeper into it, I might be coming on your guy's side on the aisle at this point.
How I look at Nick Sirianni, I look at him as like a basketball coach.
Mm-hmm.
He just has to deal with personalities. I mean, because Fangio's looking at him going, Bozo, you stay over there. And, when Kellen Moore was here, I'm sure he was like, listen, you stay over there. Shane Steichen probably said the same thing after the second year. Look, the first year, second year, you stay away from me. See, he can only control guys like a Sean Desai because they're new, or a Brian Johnson, or a Kevin Patullo. And what do they all have in common? They all had the 2 offensive coordinators, them two, they were friends with this guy.
Yep.
And it don't work like that. And his job is just to keep all the personalities in check. And that's why they brought back Brandon Graham, because they had nobody to keep Jalen Carter in check.
Listen, I get you, and you're probably not wrong. I mean, who was the coach who said it? Basketball play, like being a basketball coach is like monitoring 5 different Fortune 500 companies. You know what I mean? Because just big superstars with lots of names and money, and it's you gotta juggle that. But I mean, listen, there's more to even basketball coaching, X's and O's, that do become important to calling the right plays, as we saw at the end of the season, the last play of that San Fran game. I'm telling you, that's what caused a lot of the ultimate course correct in the organization. To the point is, I could feed truth serum to Howie, to Jeff, how they felt about the Stoutland situation. Like, did they get blindsided about Stoutland as much as we did? Like, when Stoutland said, "Listen, I'm retiring. I'm stepping down. I don't want the run game coordinator, and I don't want to be your O-line coach anymore." And they're just like, "Fine, we'll give you some weird label just so we can't lose you to somebody else to go to O-line for the New York Giants or something."
I think that's part of it, but then it was reported that Sirianni and Petullo were going behind Stoutland with the running game. But the funny part about that was the running game didn't get any better. So, I mean, just think,
it did have its moments, and the offense was a little better when Kevin Petullo got the calls in a little earlier. Just a little better. I'm not saying it's completely better. I'm just saying.
But it was only
a big problem.
Yeah, but it was against weak teams.
True. You're not wrong.
At the end of the season. So just think about this. That's why Fangio probably wanted to retire. How can you? It's like I was telling Maddie last night. It'd be like you and Mike. And I mean, I know you guys joke around, but without the joking around, saying we're going to do this, this, and this, and not the way Maddie, how Maddie would like it done or whatever. We're just going to do it, whatever. You can't have a workplace like that. You cannot be. You can't be a supervisor and have other people sneaking behind your back. You can't be a boss and have, what I mean? You can't. It don't work. And this is going to be a bad season, I think, coming up, because how can you trust a head coach like that?
Listen, I don't know how the season's going to go. And I said earlier when I opened the show up that, I vote for this team. It's Midnight Green, Philadelphia Eagles. The players and the coaches are part of it. And I'm not upset that Jeff Stoutland's gone, in the sense of Jeff wanted to step down and retire. I get it. Man earned his stripes, 64 years old, wants to go, enjoy life. And listen, Vic Fangio, I take that with a grain of salt. Now, listen, did Nick Sirianni just make him feel like this is an easy conversation to be had? Because, he's even older. He's 68 years old. And he's ready. He got his Super Bowl already. So he's ready to all right, I got what I needed. I'm ready to move on because I'm not going to go be a head coach anywhere. But does being a clown and the way they clown Jeff and the way they were acting, did it make him go, maybe it's time I want to walk away? And the Eagles were like, just please, one more year while we wait to transition. We just sat and got our offensive situation together. Now we got to deal with this. That's what I think happened with Vic Fangio. So part of it's on Vic. Part of it's on listen, did Nick in that situation make it easy for him to say, you know what, I'm ready to walk away? More? I think part of it's that, yes.
Well, I think Vic was thinking about look, I think Vic was talking about during the season. I think Jeff Stoutland knew what was going on. They probably were talking that they're not the kind of guys that are going to bring stuff out into the public, and blow it up. Probably behind doors. They kept it. And Jeff, Vic's probably like, I'm done. I can't do this. I don't want to look at the way they're treating this guy after one bad year of an offensive line coach, and look how they're treating him. Nick Sirianni should have been on his knees just telling this guy how great he was. Man, without that offensive line last year, Saquon Barkley doesn't have the season he has.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And listen, I said the one key thing, the one constant that the Philadelphia Eagles have had since his tenure here is that the O line has been good. I mean, like even when we weren't, the rest of the team wasn't good. The O line was there, and he has molded many of great players that maybe didn't even Lane Johnson said recently that if it wasn't for Jeff Stoutland, he wouldn't be as good as or where he's at right now because he only played 2 years of offensive line in college. Like he didn't know what he was doing. He was making mistakes when he first got here. Jason Kelsey almost got cut by the Eagles because they were done with him. So that goes to show you. But I'm not even talking about what he did in the past. Again, if Jeff said, you know what, there's a new regime coming in. I'm 64 years old, whatever he is now. I'm just ready to go and just let the new guys take over. I get that. I understand that. I think you'd understand that. Like it's just the changes need to be made, and I'm okay with that. But that's not what I'm hearing. That's not what I'm reading. I'm going to go right back to it. Even Jeff Stoutland's goodbye tweet made me feel that if you spent 13 years and in this organization, won 2 Super Bowls, part of 3 different coaches, like if you weren't mad at the organization when you left and you had your tweet to put out, would you not go, I want to thank Mr. Lurie and Mr. Roseman for letting me be part of this great organization, even though when we had 3 coaching changes in that time frame, you still kept me around and you still believed in me, and I appreciate that. He don't say 2 words about that. He don't say 2 words about working with Nick. He doesn't say 2 words about anything. He just says he pretty much, throws love at the Philly fans and Philly itself. And it was a privilege, to coach in his career, the guys that he coached, but that's about it. If you spent 13 years at some place and won 2 Super Bowls and had success and went through multiple major changes, wouldn't you be like, I want to thank those guys for sticking by me all these years? I have a guy who felt like he just took a high road, but at the same time didn't fake it on his way out.
Yeah, this I can compare this to with Brian Dawkins when they let Brian Dawkins go, and just you don't leave a guy like that go. Jeff resigning, it's bad. It's bad the way it ended. He didn't want to go. Listen, and then you hear this. What the Eagles signed Sean Mannion, one because he could be the next successor to Sirianni because they missed out on McVay and all this stuff. Well, let's just make it real simple then. Just fire the buffoon and Sirianni. Make Sean Mannion the head coach. What could go wrong? It ain't like Sirianni's calling any plays. This guy's gonna be calling the plays. So if he's the head coach, he's calling plays. What's the difference? You got a whole new regime in here now. That's all. Maybe Fangio decides to stay a little longer. This all boils back to Nick. I think Howie, and I said this to Maddie the other night, I think Howie's letting Nick make these decisions, and Nick's going to wind up firing himself by next year sometime.
And I think the Eagles are ready for that. I said it already. I said it before the Stoutland news came down. I said the Sean Mannion thing makes sense from their point of view. Like if you really look at the read between the lines for a moment, let's just break this down together for a second. Like here's a guy that again had another year that was down. Now, granted, our down years are a little bit better than most, but still, but ultimately down, and then came back, went to a Super Bowl, then down again. But we're seeing a lot of more inner turmoil between. Now, is the A.J. Brown thing even part of that? We don't have to get that deep into it. But you hire Sean Mannion, who's 33 years old, so he's very young. I mean, he's 14 years younger than Kevin Petullo was. He's very young. You hired another guy that you also interviewed twice for your OC candidate as your passing game coordinator. So you had somebody in-house who has called plays in the NFL before. And so if, in my eyes, if I'm Nick Sirianni, or if I'm Jeff Lurie and I am Nick and Howie Roseman, I'm going, well, if we have to fire Nick in the next year or two, or he just quits or his contract runs out or whatever it is, this guy's going to be 35, 36 years old and ready to go. And you'll have everything built in, and he's the next big up and coming thing. And they're just getting him on the ground floor. So it's kind of like people think about Don Mattingly being hired for the Phillies. Like if Bobby blows it, Don Mattingly's going to be stepping in.
Yeah, but Don's got a heck. He's been manager before, and he was a decent manager. Look, I look at this Eagles team, and people will agree to disagree.
Yeah,
I think this is a veteran team. They needed a veteran guy. Look, why didn't Dable come here? You got Cliff Kingsbury, Mike Kafka, Mike McDowell, you know what I mean? All these guys. Cliff Kingsbury just went to the Rams. You're telling me Cliff Kingsbury what? I would have trusted Cliff Kingsbury because he's done the offensive coordinator position. This is an unknown with this guy coming in here. This is the total.
There's certain guys who can OC or DC but can't HC. I mean, Vic Fangio is one of those guys. He tried HC and he failed, but when he DCs well. And listen, the organizations make a difference. Personnel makes a difference. He was with the Dolphins, and that was definitely people complained about him on the way out. Enjoyed Vic Fangio. He's a real a-hole or whatever the problem was. But he came here and had instant success. So that shows me that's the Miami Dolphins. I'll go back on what I said before about Daboll. Daboll went somewhere because he went somewhere safe. We wouldn't have a 1 year laser guided dot sitting on his head. So if he doesn't get the job done, bang, he's out. Like same thing with McDaniel. There's another guy I still don't understand the love fest behind McDaniel or Daboll, as to say at least. But even McDaniel, what has McDaniel done for anybody to think he was a prize to be won?
Well,
I everything. I would have liked to seen Cliff too. I would have been no problem with Cliff. I would not even mind Nagy to a point. But the McDaniel, he's a guy who was an HC for a while who had zero success with some of the best offensive pieces. A guy was supposed to be better than Jalen Hurts and Tua, and he couldn't get the job done. Why did people they're so upset? Maybe they didn't want McDaniel. I didn't want McDaniel.
Okay. I hear that. Now check this staff out. Robert Saleh, who I think is not a good head coach, but he's a head coach again. But real good defense. Their staff with Daboll, Gus Williams. Okay, Vic probably is over Gus, but Gus is a really, really good defensive coordinator.
Not going to disagree.
And you know when you get Daboll, what he did in Buffalo with Josh Allen and all that. Look what he did.
Like, here's my question. We all know Josh Allen is Josh Allen, right? He's really good. Because Josh Allen was that good? Because once he got to New York, outside of 1 year with Danny Dimes, he was nothing. And then Danny Dimes goes to Indianapolis and is having great success.
Well, I mean, you would too. Well, you would too. Think about it. If when he lost all that stuff after that 1 year. Daniel Jones did. I mean, they didn't. The offensive line just went downhill. It wasn't like it was Daboll's fault. I mean, after that, what was the weapons they had? Really, it was the Saquon show till they got what? Was that Malik Neighbors or whoever that blew his knee out on their wide receiver? So, and with Buffalo with Josh was good. And don't get me wrong, he is good. But he helped them along. He helped them grow. That's why I was shocked that Daboll didn't get the Buffalo head coaching job. And see, that's a whole different thing with me because I live up in this area, and but it's just I look at the Eagles and I just joke around. It took them 45 offensive coordinators to come up with a guy that never called a play because they wanted him to be the next head coach possibly? Is that why they hired him? Is that the only reason why they hired him? Because they see him as the next big thing? If that's the reason why, and they'll never say it, but if that is part of the reason, that is the wrong reason.
Well, listen, there's not. I think if you look at it, I'll use my point I said before. They over course corrected. They did none of that last year. They just said, you know what, Kev, we got a super great offense here. You just take over and you learn with them. It's like riding a bike with training wheels, man. Come right on in. And guess what? They found out that was wrong. So now what they did is they interviewed everybody. They would have interviewed you if you gave them the 5 minutes to do it. Mike. But my point is, I'm not upset with listen, I would have probably preferred personally somebody who's done it before. I would have preferred, like you said, at Kingsbury. I'm not against what they've done. And let's be honest. When it comes to bringing a guy who's not as well known but has had then caused the Eagles to have success, the Eagles have done it well. They did it with Doug Peterson, and like him or not, Nick Sirianni, they've done it with him as well. You've won 2 Super Bowls under each of the Super Bowl under each one of those guys. So that's what I was not upset about. It's the people out there trying to tell me that I'm supposed to swallow the Jeff Stoutland situation because this is what we asked for. Even though we've gone through how many OCs and how many HCs since Jeff Stoutland's been here. So that's my point. That's where I'm losing. Nick, like I said, Nick got some leeway with me, I guess is the best way to say it. Because
he lost.
Because you're winning. When you win, you get away with things, right? Am I wrong? Like when you act like a jackass and you're winning, it's okay. When you act like a jackass, it's not okay.
Wait. Well, I'm with you on what you're saying about winning. Dusty Baker in his final year at Washington was manager of the year, won 90-some games, and they fired him.
Yeah, well, listen, there had to be something.
Now here's a question. Now here,
how many times do you actually hear that, Mike? How many times do you actually hear that?
Happened to Joe Girardi, happened to Ozzie Guillen, both in Miami.
That's Miami.
Doesn't make a difference whether it's one time. It's still one time. Well, here's a question for you. So, say the Eagles with Mannion have a really good year next year.
Okay.
What do you do? What do you do with Mannion? Do you fire Sirianni if they make a run the playoffs, or if Mannion if they lose and Mannion decides that you know what I mean? The Eagles are in a bad position here. They're in a bad position. That's why they should just fire the guy right now and just make him head coach. Because if they have a good season next year, this guy's going to be gone. I'll guarantee he's gone.
If they have a good season next year, yeah, he might be gone. You're not.
He's going to be gone.
And here's my thing: is that was what was I going to say? That's part like that. People are like, I don't want another guy who's going to be one and done. I don't care if you're one and done if you win these Super Bowls. That kind of thing does not bother me. But Mike, thank you for joining me because I'm about to get done here right now. Yeah.
But
I appreciate you joining me tonight. I appreciate I really talked a lot about the Stoutland thing. I was using this. I was pissed this week, dude. I was
I was too.
I went into work angry. And again, people are like, "You're an O-line coach. No wonder why you're upset." I'm like, it's way deeper than that. It's way deeper than that. It's just all the tea leaves are coming out, and I'm thinking with you, it's going to be a tough sell. So
I was angry last night. I was over Maddie. I was fired up last night about the whole situation, and I was
actually chime in on it too, but I'm like, sometimes I have to know myself at this point. At this point in my age, I'm like, just let it time pass and see how you feel in an hour or the next day before you explode. That was my old me. I would hulk out and freak out.
Well, I had to come on because I'm Maddie 2.0.
When I call you Maddie's burner account,
I just say Maddie 2.0 because I can't remember the burner account. I'm getting old, man. I'm gonna be 57, so my memory kind of like slides away after a while. I'm trying to remember stuff. Hey, Al, it was good talking to you. If next Friday,
we'll do it again. We'll talk soon,
Are you going to be on Sunday? Are you going to be on Sunday? Because they mentioned something about Sunday.
I will be on Sunday with Mike as usual. Yep.
Okay.
Super Bowl. All right, buddy, I'll talk.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Enjoy your Friday night. Thank you for helping me calm down a little bit because getting this off my chest is it's therapeutic for me. Hopefully for you. But on that, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you on Sunday. Have a great day.